this evening's sprint race at the Sao Paulo Grand Prix, but there could be issues to resolve beforehand, couldn't there, Craig? He joins us now, F1 reporter. Craig, let's go through all these situations. A grid penalty could be coming Hamilton's way after his car is referred to stewards for a possible DRS infringement during a qualifying session he topped. Explain.
Not just a grid penalty, Gail, the most extreme grid penalty. I expected to wake up this morning to Lewis Hamilton being excluded from that qualifying session yesterday. That would have meant that he would have started last in today's sprint rather than first. The FIA's technical delegate, the man that goes around and checks all the cars, measured the DRS element on the back of Hamilton's car and found it to be in breach. And if a car doesn't comply to the technical regulations, normally that means it is out, it is excluded, but one or two things still to be investigated. We haven't got a decision from the stewards yet.
So F1's technical delegate said Hamilton's Mercedes car didn't fulfil the maximum distance for a DRS. I mean, what does that essentially mean, and just how serious?
Yeah, well, I mean, the seriousness of it is, it could mean his exclusion, obviously. It's actually one of the simplest pieces on the car, the DRS. No, well, the DRS stands for drag reduction system, and what we're talking about is that kind of cat flap device on the back of the car. You can see it there, it's open, and basically it was introduced to help cars overtake one another. When it's opened up, air can rush through the rear wing of the car, so the drag on the car is reduced and the car can go faster. Now that opening can be a maximum of 85 millimetres. So what the technical delegate found was that in Hamilton's case, it exceeded that, and that would offer a performance advantage on the straight, because if you're allowing a bigger gap, more air can rush through and you're losing more of that drag, so the car would go faster on the straight. A whole series of cars were checked yesterday, including Hamilton's teammate Valtteri Bottas's. Only Hamilton's was found to be non-compliant. However, significantly, the FIA have since impounded that part of Hamilton's car. Now, does that suggest that they weren't satisfied with their original measurements, or they want to check it again? That might work in Hamilton's favour, but again, we're waiting on developments there, which we're not going to get till later on today.
Yeah, I was going to ask you when they might appear. And Verstappen was also someone, wasn't he, over a potential breach? What happened there?
Well, this is it's like the plot of an Agatha Christie novel, but it was all happening in plain sight.
Without the murder, we hope.
Well, you know, well, he's done. Well, Mercedes might allege that he is a party in all of this. Now, look at this. This is the end of qualifying. Hamilton gets out his car. Look at Verstappen there behind him. Now, he's checking the rear wing of his own car, and he touches it. But what we don't see here, because the camera cuts away, is that he goes over to Hamilton's car and actually touches the rear wing of that. Now, he's not meant to do that because the cars are in what's called parc fermé conditions. They're not meant to be touched after this session. Now, that would leave him in breach of the sporting regulations, which maybe isn't so serious in terms of what happens to him. Maybe he'd get a slap on the wrist, a reprimand for doing that. But could Mercedes allege that their rear wing has been tampered with? And could that be a factor in the case against Hamilton's car at the moment? In a sense, could they say the forensics have been tarnished or sullied in some kind of way?
Sabotaged.
Yeah, well, they may want to use it in evidence in Hamilton's defence. Let's wait and see.
And we have to remember Hamilton already has a 5-place grid penalty, doesn't he, for his engine? So how is this set to play out?
Well, this is the big, ultimately the bigger picture. Could this end Lewis Hamilton's title hopes for this year? So let's assume the worst case scenario. He gets excluded from qualifying yesterday. That means he starts at the back in the sprint race today. Now, the sprint race offers 3 points for the winner. Hamilton's not going to get any points coming from the back in a third distance race. So 0 points. Verstappen gets an extra 3 points. So he goes from 19 to 22 ahead. The sprint also sets the grid for Sunday. Lewis, he might gain maximum of 10 places. So that would give him an initial 10th place start on Sunday. Add the 5 places in for the grid penalty. He starts 15th. How high can he get? 4th, 5th? He's going to drop another 12 or 13 points to Verstappen. He could end up from this weekend 35 points down, and really the title would then be on the line in Qatar, and Hamilton would be going to the race after that with no real chance, I would think, in Saudi Arabia, of preventing Verstappen taking the title there. So there's a lot riding on this.